Welcome to the first in a series of what it means to live authentically. Hey, I'm Kendra, and I'm an authentic living coach, helping women let go of all the world's expectations and build lives that are designed around their inner truth. In this series, I'm going to answer some questions about how I think we got here, what happened to wake me up, and what does it mean to live authentically. So let's get started. It seems to me that everyone is chasing something in life. Am I right? Are you chasing something? Happiness, love, joy, contentment, success, whatever that means. But here's the thing. I don't believe those things have to be chased. You already have the capacity to feel all of that by living into your true self. And when you do, when you choose that deep inner knowing as your guiding light and align your life to that, those feelings of love, happiness, contentment are just there. There's no searching, there's no trying, there's no striving, there's ease, and they just exist. So how did we get here? How did we end up always chasing something? There's a lot to this, but I'm going to make it simple for this platform. Our culture has taught us to value knowledge, wisdom, and expectations of the outside world more than the knowing within our own self. I believe there's a better way to do this, a better way to live our lives, and that's to flip that script and let your soul lead the way. So authentic living isn't about creating something new, becoming your better self. It's about really remembering who you already are and creating a life that doesn't just look good on the outside, but feels good, and frankly, for me, feels easier. We weren't put here on this earth to struggle. And I know a lot of us spend a lot of our lives struggling. We were put here to share our gifts with the world. And if you're thinking, I don't have anything to share with the world, I'd say this. It's not that you don't have any gifts, it's just that maybe you've lost touch with them. You've spent a lifetime disconnected from them. You see, our culture has taught us that a good life is built on performance, on performing for others. It's the hustle culture and the keep up with appearances and don't show your vulnerability. Do what's expected of you. Be grateful. It could be worse. And yet, with all of that, wonderful advice that everybody gives us, we still wake up exhausted, depleted, and quietly asking, is this all there is? We've built lives that look good on paper, but feel empty inside. We're constantly trying to be who we're supposed to be, while our true self keeps getting buried deeper and deeper underneath the surface. It's time to change all that. And if this resonates with you, stick around for the next part of this series. Welcome back to the series on what I mean when I say live authentically. This is the second in our series, and today we're going to talk about the mental health crisis and its relationship to authentic living. There's a lot of talk right now about mental health, burnout, anxiety, nervous system regulation, and all those things are absolutely needed because we are all living in a state of survival more often than in a state of calm. But I think our mental health crisis might be a symptom of a much deeper problem, and that is a misaligned life. We're taught from a really young age that other people's expectations about how we should live our lives and behave are more important than what we want for our own lives and what our soul is telling us and guiding us to do in our life. We've been taught things like be polite and accommodating, don't talk back, prioritize other people's comfort over your own truth. They know better. Pretend in order to stay likable and included in a group. And if we're not careful, we can spend our entire lives striving to do all the things that others say will make us happy and never actually find the happiness that we truly want. It's no wonder so many of us wake up depleted, numb, experiencing physical and mental ailments, and feeling a sense that there has to be maybe something wrong with me because I'm doing all the things that they said I should do in order to be happy. We're living lives that are designed from the fabric of the world's expectations rather than from our own soul's desires. And I believe our collective exhaustion stems from a much deeper place than just a strain put on us by the outside world. I believe it comes from a life lived without connection to our true self, without space to honor what we most deeply long for: meaningful work, honest connection, creativity, rest, and belonging, not to everyone around us, but to ourselves. So many of us built lives from someone else's blueprint, honestly, and checking boxes, climbing ladders, keeping the pace and the expectation. We never consciously chose this path. And on the outside, it all looks fine. But beneath the surface, something doesn't quite feel right. That quiet misalignment is often what's draining us at the deepest levels. When you start to notice and witness and acknowledge that misalignment, you begin to journey towards living a more authentic life. If this resonates, stay tuned for the next in the series on what I mean when I say authentic living. Hey there. Welcome back. This is the third in our series. And today we're going to talk about what happens when we're constantly living in this state of hurried, overwhelmed, overstimulated by all the crap in the world. If you're in that state, and when you're in that state, your brain goes into survival mode. I think many of us are living in that survival mode more and more often these days. And it was never meant to be a state that we live in constantly. Because when you're in survival mode, your reptilian brain takes over, and it's really difficult, if not impossible, to tap into your true self. That reptilian brain helps you knock out decisions quickly. There's not a lot of space between action and reaction. There's not a lot of room for creativity or a pause to consider what I should do next, or listen to or try to tap into your inner wisdom to help you make that decision. And if you want to start making decisions from a place that comes from here, you have to learn how to step out of survival mode, even if it's just long enough to see that other options might exist for you. You don't have to drastically change your whole life right away. And in fact, I don't think that's the easiest or healthiest path. I think transformation begins with small, intentional actions. After my daughter was stillborn in 2015, I didn't give a fuck what anybody wanted from me. I said no a lot. And over the course of the next decade, we had lots of other losses, infertility, additional losses in our family, that I started pulling back and taking space for myself. I always knew I wanted to make big changes, but the timing wasn't right. I was dealing with big, real life, heavy things. And so no, I couldn't make the big changes. I also knew that if I wanted to make those big changes, I had to start within the current environment. So I took small intentional actions, not to fix something, but to acknowledge to my body and to myself that I understood that our current circumstances were not exactly like we would want them to be. If your days are going by in a blur and you're just trying to survive until your next vacation, I'm here for you. You're around, there's more to come. Welcome back. Number 4 in our series on what it means to live authentically. Today, we're going to talk about soul-led living over cultural expectations. Have you ever felt this, where the culture tells you that it knows best what's for you and what will make you happy? If you follow this path, you'll be happy. And if you're not happy, there must be something wrong with you. But go ahead and just follow our rules and our expectations, and you will eventually be happy. And then you spend your whole life striving to be happy and you never really truly are. My perspective is that your soul already knows what will bring you peace, joy, freedom, happiness. And it's all about finding a way to let your soul lead your path, not your fear-driven mind, not the endless shoulds that society says you should do. Your soul knows what truly will make you feel whole and at peace and alive. In my younger days, I remember constantly saying that I am externally motivated. I'd wait for someone to give me a task or a challenge, and then, okay, let's do it. I'd knock it out of the park, and I'd relish in all appreciation. Things like when I was a cheerleader in high school, and another girl would do a tumbling pass, and I was like, ooh, that's cool, I'll do that. And I'd knock it out of the park. Not because I wanted to do it, because somebody else did it. And I thought, oh, I gotta keep up, so I'll do it too. Or like when my boss suggested I should get a master's degree and it would open up new doors. And so I did, and spent 2 years of my life and a lot of money on a master's degree, which was fine. And none of these things were wrong. The question I want all of us to ask, myself included, is where are those things originating from? Are they coming from my soul's desires, or are they just coming from, okay, I'll do it because somebody else said I should? I now can look back on my life and I see that a lot of my choices that I made were made through the lens of other people's expectations. Or you can just keep doing what other people say is right, but it is most likely not going to lead you to a life that feels good. If this resonates, this is a series and I have one more coming at you. So stay tuned. Welcome back to number 5 in the series on what is authentic living. And I am here today to talk about why I hate goals. So this is going to be a little controversial because there's a lot of talk in this world about how goals are so important. Create your goal, power through, push through, get your results. And if you don't, then you're failing. There's something wrong with you. If you can't reach your goals, then there's something wrong. I actually feel like goals might be setting us up to feel like failures. It comes from a place of my own personal experience because for years I lived in a world, I was in the corporate environment, in the organizational development world, where we were the ones who helped the organization set their goals. And so I've lived in a world obsessed with goals, which is fine and dandy and all, and in a corporate environment, they might be appropriate. But what I found was that in my real life, my personal life, goals never really worked for me because life kept interrupting my desire to reach my goal. And when I say that with a big caveat to the fact that my family went through one loss after another over a decade. I lost my daughter, she was stillborn. My husband lost his dad, I lost my dad, my stepdaughter lost her mom, we went through infertility, we went through COVID, we went through just a lot. We were dealing with big life things. And every time I went to set a goal, I had the best intentions, and then suddenly I felt behind or like I had failed because I hadn't been able to hit that goal because another thing had come at us in life. And this isn't just about goals, it's about rewiring the way we think about progress in this messy, uncertain life. It's about stepping out of the pressure to perform and into a more human, more flexible approach in how to grow. So I just stopped setting goals. I started setting intentions instead. Goals tended to feel rigid for me. They were very outcome focused. It wasn't about how I felt in that experience of getting to that goal. They created pressure for me, they created urgency, they created shame, and they didn't leave any room for the complexity of me being a human being and this being a crazy world. I didn't need more discipline, I needed more grace, and intentions gave me that. They felt more human, more expansive, and more appropriate for the circumstances that I was living through. The act of intending allows for this natural rhythm of life to unfold. If you've created goals and any of that resonated with you, if you want help shifting over to intentions instead, I have opened up 6 breakthrough coaching sessions. They're totally free. They're an hour long, and I would love to help you move from goals to intentions. There's one more in this series, so stick around and I will see you on the next one. Welcome back to number 6 in our series of what I mean when I say authentic living. The last topic that we're going to talk about is the surrender. Our culture puts so much emphasis on results, and I spent most of my life chasing when I get to the next thing, when I get over the next mountain, when I get over the next hurdle, it'll all feel better. And I was so frustrated that the life circumstances continued to be thrown my way. When I talk about life circumstances, if you haven't watched the series, things like the stillbirth of my daughter, my husband lost his dad, my stepdaughter lost her mom, infertility treatments, I lost my job, my husband lost his job. Lots of things kept happening. And throughout all of it, I used to get so frustrated when it would happen because it was basically getting in the way of what I thought I wanted. Instead of me taking the time to just surrender to this is what it is, I will put forth my intentions and I will put forth my tiny little actions and do my part. And then I will let go of the expectation that I am in control of the results and the outcomes of my work. Through my True You framework, I help people to let go of the world's expectations, recenter and reground in their truth, and then do their part to take small intentional actions aligned with that true self, and then surrender and let go to the outcomes and watch what happens. Because what's cool is when you do that, magic shows up in the most unexpected ways. For example, when my husband and I had been going through fertility treatments, I had come to a point where we had exhausted one particular treatment method, and it was a bit soul crushing for me. When we were at that point, it was probably 4 or 5 years after my daughter was stillborn. And since the moment my daughter was stillborn, I had had this calling to go to Bali, Indonesia. And in that moment, I got on a plane and went to Bali for 2 weeks all by myself to do some soul searching. Got there and I got up in the middle of the night while I was there and just wrote over and over, I forgive myself. Because in that moment, What I needed was to surrender to the fact that was the circumstances that I was in, as to no fault of my own, because we don't control the outcomes. We only control the small parts that we do every day. And when I came back from Bali, 7 weeks later, we found out we were pregnant, totally naturally, after taking the time to forgive myself the loss of my daughter. So what I want you to hear today is that when you take accountability for living a life aligned with your soul's desires and do those small intentional actions and then surrender your results, there's magic. If this resonated with you and you want some one-on-one time with me, I have 6 open free coaching sessions available, and I look forward to talking to you.